On the 18th of January, 2023, 63-year-old Donald, a clean-living, peaceful Christian man with no criminal background, was illegally and unlawfully kidnapped, arrested and assaulted by South Yorkshire police, with completely fabricated charges upon fraudulent documentation and no evidence. He was then transferred directly to Kirkcaldy Sheriff Courts, where he was sentenced through a cell door and taken directly to HMP Perth in Scotland, where 3 months later he was put through a kangaroo trial in Dunfermline Sheriff Courts, and since then has been in 4 prisons, now being HMP Grampian in Peterhead, where he has endured over 2 years of physical, psychological and emotional abuse. Confined to a cell for 23.5 hours a day, Donald faces starvation, beatings, dehumanizing rituals on a daily basis. The perpetrators are intentionally trying to hide Donald away, block all his communication, and deny he is in their custody, with the prison guards now also being instructed to maliciously put Donald in life-threatening danger by shifting prisoners who have seen there is no due course of law. As many of them have been in and out of prison most of their lives, that how Donald has been processed and treated is clearly fraudulent. So therefore, if we have the most violent prisoners in Scotland who can clearly see the fraud that's being committed, what more does the general public need to realise that this is the reality of our judicial system, and due to the climate that we are in, the lengths and the depths of depravity that the judiciary will stoop to crush and destroy individuals who do not conform to their fraudulent system, highlighted often by sham blank uttered pieces of paper, is now becoming beyond criminal. Alarmingly, as recent events have unfolded, with the perpetrators being senior officials in Scottish government who are encouraging a climate of intimidation, harassment and torture by intentionally managing a situation where the most dangerous prisoners are being bribed and blackmailed to turn on Donald in their sinister hopes that they kill him. This is of course so that the instigators evade any responsibility and liability, creating an isolating and life-threatening situation on a daily basis. This is the bitter truth of our judicial system worldwide, that unfortunately most of society cannot accept despite all the evidence being provided. What you are looking at right now are the letters sent from the Scottish Prison Service acknowledging the trust, but yet they weren't given any answers as to why they are illegally and unlawfully administrating a custody upon fraudulent, uttered and omitted documents with instructed unwarranted daily torture. HMP Grampian has already written the authority from Donald to communicate to the Trust, and the Trust has written delegated authority to do so.
A writ of habeas corpus issued by the Trustees of Integrity 1995 Trust, duly and legally served to recipient parties on the 15th of October 2024, and again on today's date, which is the 8th of March 2025. This is following multiple requests for openness and transparency in relation to the illegal and unlawful imprisonment of Donald, falsely incarcerated within the Scottish Prison Service estate since the 19th of January 2023. 26 months. Currently within the establishment of HMP Grampian since the 30th of January 2025. The presumption of being a fictitious corporate entity is still being held on fraudulent documentation. Evidence is in place under the governance of Brian McKerney, who is hereby being called as a respondent to explain and provide his evidence and motives for his involvement as custodian trustee from the 30th of January 2025 alongside complicit parties in the public interest. And we're going to put up some flyers now which shows Donald's story via QR code all over the lampposts of this place, and then we're going to go and serve the High Court. That's it. Right. Right, could you give that to the governor for us, please?
Alright, Ed. Yes.
So that's just been served on the prison. That's to do with Donald.
Oh.
You've got unlawfully detained here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're doing a habeas corpus. That was done in the English court. And
It's
the High
been
Court.
altered now for the High Court in Scotland.
Okay.
That there, you can go on your phone, all the stuff. You can have a look at the case on there yourself and all the evidence. So we'll leave that with you.
Right.
I would, if all the staff that were here, you should get to grips with that case, because when it all comes out and we get him into the court, anyone that's detained him unlawfully, and we can prove it, will be going in prison instead of him. Okay. So we're going to stick them on the lamppost as well outside, so people coming in can have a look.
Yeah.
If we come back and they've been removed, and then that'll be submitted in the court of justice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So can you make sure that that's important? Because that's notice to agent, notice to principal, notice to principal, notice to agent. So that means you'll be held responsible. We've got it on footage as well. So
It's been served now.
We'll see you at a later date. Make sure that gets through. Okay.
All right, thanks, mate. Cheers. Today, a writ for habeas corpus issued by the Trustees of Integrity 1995 Trust, lodged and accepted in the Scottish Court at Dunfermline in the English Court in Liverpool on the 14th and 15th of October 2024, and has been duly and legally served again on all recipient parties, including the High Court in Edinburgh and the Lord President of the Court of Session. This writ follows multiple requests for openness and transparency in relation to the illegal and unlawful imprisonment of Donald, falsely incarcerated within the Scottish Prison Service estate, HMP Perth, HMP Kilmarnock, HMP Greenock and currently HMP Grampian, under the management of Acting CEO Teresa Medhurst, and complicit parties being, including but not limited to, Angela Constance, Scottish Minister for Justice, Teresa Medhurst, Acting CEO of the Scottish Prison Service, Chief Inspector of Prisons, HMIPS, Andrew Hodge, former Acting Governor of HMP Perth, Brian McCurdy, Acting Governor of HMP Grampian, Morag Sterling, Acting Governor of HMP Greenock, Craig Thompson, Acting Governor of HMP Kilmarnock. Court adjudicators being called as respondents being Sheriff James H. Williamson, Kirkcaldy Sheriff Court, Sheriff Elizabeth McFarlane, Kirkcaldy Sheriff Court, and Sheriff Susan M. Duff, Dunfermline Sheriff Court, responsible for the fraudulent purported enactment of a 4.5-year sentence upon fraudulent uttered and omitted documentation. Donald is being held on the presumption of being a fictitious corporate entity. Donald is still being held upon fraudulent and uttered documentation, evidence in place. All recipient parties are hereby being called as respondents to explain and provide their evidence and motives for their involvement, for including but not limited to conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, kidnap, torture and false imprisonment since the 19th of January 2023 of Donald, an expressed established beneficiary, humble holy Christian and much loved by all. Thank you.
The habeas corpus has now been served twice to the High Courts of Justiciary, and both times has been ignored. The first time was Lord Calloway, who has since stepped down, who laughably cited to the media he believed too many people are being jailed in Scotland. Subsequently, upon his successor, Lord Pentland, who has also been served. This is clear evidence that the Scottish Government and Judiciary are acting with impunity, exercising no rule of law, no transparency and no justice, of which the Trust holds a full suite of evidence. What you're about to listen to are two of many verbal notices and expressions of concern made to HMP Grampian for their daily, unjustified abuse in criminality upon a fraudulent paper trail. These are the responses we receive. This should be a public outrage.
Welcome to HM Prison. Day at this at 9 now.
Hello, HMP Grampian. It's come to our attention that Donald is fearing for his life as he is being put in grave danger purposefully under the watch of Brian McCurdy and all complicit parties. You have now been verbally served and all evidence is being used against you, Brian McCurdy and all complicit parties. Any harm that is maliciously instructed to be done unto Donald, immediate action will be taken, as this is in the growing swath of public awareness, so all your criminalities are under the public watch. Do you understand?
Nothing to do with me. Take it to court if you want. It's nothing to do with me. You've said what you need to say. Now, goodbye.
Welcome to HM Prison Grampian. If you are calling with a welfare concern about someone in custody at this prison, please press 9 now.
This extremely sensitive case has now been acknowledged by Scottish Minister John Sweeney in relation to an evidently political prisoner you are holding illegally and unlawfully captive upon fraudulent documentation. Your special security measures do not apply when there is no consent nor any evidence from your team that binds the living man to the fabricated allegations made in a kangaroo court, let alone any need for special security measures outside communication. So this criminality needs to be addressed immediately. So we are holding you, Brian McCurdy, all complicit parties and above mentioned assignees accountable for this criminality. Do you understand?
You have now made it to the end of this video. Thank you for taking your time to listen and watch attentively. We pray that this has opened your eyes to the fact that the establishment is just a mirage and mere paid lip service. Meanwhile, right under our noses, deep-seated corruption where criminality is paid off with blood money, orchestrated via Freemasonry, which is being used to silence those who do not conform to tyranny. What you are looking at here are their so-called vetting reports that the Scottish Prison Service are holding Donald on. Stay tuned, as next time we will be revealing to you the blatant trumped-up charges and fraudulent paperwork that was conjured up in bias in their pathetic attempts to justify their inhumane and outrageous abuse of power. Please help us expose this corruption by sharing this video far and wide. Alternatively, for more information, updates and content on this case, please follow our Facebook group at Freedom and Justice. And if you have any queries, intel, or want to know how you can help support this cause, please email us directly at godschildren144@protonmail.com. Till next time, God bless us all.